are very simple ways just to dress up something, you know, straight from the shelf. You don't have a whole lot of time. You got people coming over. You kind of want to look a little bit more prepared than just straight tomato soup or, you know, straight potato soup, whatever you may have there in the cupboard. And there's a lot of different ways just to kind of dress that up. For example, with your tomato soup, if you add a little bit of spinach to it, you have a tomato Florentine, and that's just fresh baby spinach. You just want to heat your soup up and put it right on the top of it. Let it float there and simmer for a minute. You can do, you know, cheddar in your potato soup. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to make the seafood stew, which is the clam chowder. And we're going to put a little bit of shrimp in there and let that warm up to where it's get a little more protein into it. But there's a lot of different ways that you can just kind of dress up something very simple, okay? And if you'd be amazed at people that come over and they say, oh, well, that was so good. You don't have to tell them your secret that it came from a can, and you just kind of dress it up a little bit. I'm a big fan of what's easy is better, so.
Just improve on it.
All it is a little bit of improvement. So we have our clam chowder in this first pot here. Now there's a couple ways that we could add the shrimp to it. You could actually take your shrimp and heat them up a little bit on a skillet if you wanted to. Put a little bit of lemon juice on them or something like that before you added them straight into your clam chowder. What we went with was the salad shrimp, which is kind of a petite shrimp there. Everybody kind of see that? That is available out of our meat departments. And I know it looks like a lot now, but I do have a fair amount of soup in there. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add it in. And it's going to go straight into the soup. We're just going to mix it all in. Get it going there a little bit and just let it heat up from there, okay? Now if you were in a quick hurry and you actually wanted to saute the shrimp and throw them in, have them nice and hot right off the get-go, you could do that if you got a little bit of time just to let them kind of simmer in there and soak in some of the flavor. I think they do a little bit better if you just let them sit and kind of warm up in the soup itself. But that's just a quick way to make a simple seafood stew, okay? You got a little bit of meat in them. Now if you were wanting to add clams or just lost it, scallops into it, you might want to cut your scallops up a little bit, get those turned in to go in there with your oysters. But it's a nice little fix just for something simple. And if you wanted to enhance it a little bit more and put some fresh basil or something like that in there too, you could do that as well, okay? If you wanted to go a little bit further and put a little bit of Parmesan cheese into it, you can either put that directly on top of the soup after you've scooped it out to serve it. You just sprinkle a little bit on the top. There you have a Tuscan stew at that point. So it's actually, all just depends on what your flavor profile is, okay? Now you notice I didn't measure. You don't have to measure with it. It depends on your taste. Leslie's gonna make the broccoli and cheese and, the bacon and cheese and potato soup here in just a minute. If you like a lot of cheese, you can put more cheese in it. If you like more bacon, you can add more bacon. If you don't, just simply take it out. You know, it's whatever your flavor profile may be. These are just real simple ways to actually just dress up a simple soup can. We are using the Food Club soup tonight, so you'll get a chance to try that. With our seafood stew over here, just warming up, all you want to do is just make sure you keep stirring it. Okay, now the shrimp are fully cooked. So it's just pretty much a heat and serve type ordeal right here. Any questions about that? Pretty simple, right? And it's not necessarily that we just wanted to give you something easy to do, but it's a lot of it a time saver too. You know, it's just, if you hadn't ever thought about just adding spinach on top of the soup to make, you know, a Florentine or something like that, just really quick and easy. You know, somebody calls you last minute and say, hey, we're coming by, you know, and you just want to throw something together. I mean, it happens all the time at my parents' house. Everybody will show up at once. So, you know, all of a sudden you've got 12 people to feed and you got 3 big cans of tomato soup. It's an easy way just to dress it up a little bit. So with that being said, Miss Leslie's going to come over and she's going to talk about making the cheddar and bacon potato soup. All right?
You can tell he really enjoys this class. He has a lot of good information. But, as he mentioned, I do have one of the easy ones to dress up the soup. And he said with the potato soup, we could add anything that we want. He did add the whole milk to make it a lot creamier. And now we can either add this to the end, you know, after it's done in your bowl, or you could add it while it's on the eye. And I like lots of cheese. I don't know if you all are cheese folks, but you can add it in very slowly. I kind of like lumped it in there. But just give, you know, stir that around. And you can add any information if you like.
As you add your cheese in, the more cheese you add, the thicker your soup's going to be. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. So if you wanted to add the cheese in while it's on the stove, feel more than free to. But it's also good if you have some on the side and people just want to sprinkle it on the top, because you are doing a soup, you're not doing a bisque, so you don't want to get it too thick right off the get-go.
It's always nice for a good presentation. And with the bacon, same way to add the flavor. Or as you mentioned, you could add the broccoli. It'd be like a loaded potato soup.
Put your little dollop of sour cream on top of your cheese and stuff at the end of it, mix that down in. There's a lot of ideas, you know. A lot of people just don't step back and think of how easy it is to dress something up a little bit.
It does look like homemade.
It does look like a homemade soup at that point, and they think you slaved over it all day and it really took you 20 minutes.
It's all in the wrist action, you know. It's just pouring it in. So that was my debut. Thank you all for being so kind.
You did a great job. Great job.
Well, I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is mountain bread?
Mountain bread is kind of a cross between a normal white bread and a little bit of a sourdough. We actually sell it down in the delis. At some of the delis, it has a nice powdered top on the top of it, or they put a little extra flour on it. But it's just kind of a thicker bread to help draw the soup up. It'll make it a little bit thicker, but a lot of people are going to add in oyster crackers or saltines or something like that anyways on it. And it actually gives a nice little mushy taste to it and a good feel. But mountain bread actually won't come all the way apart, okay? If you wanted to use an Italian or a white bread, you could. We just suggest that you use the mountain bread because it's got a little bit of a different flavor, and the flour actually helps thicken it up just a little bit.